Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Glasgow has a problem. Glasgow's got many problems, but this particular problem involves the low emission zone. Although it's not really a low emission zone, it's a poor people's zone. It's designed to keep those who can't afford to upgrade their cars out of the city centre. They don't like poor people, Glasgow Council. Anyway, one of the side effects is that they have their whole fleet of vehicles, and many of them are not compliant with a low emission zone. And so if they drove in, they would be liable for the fines. But the fines do not go to the owner of the vehicle, which would be Glasgow City Council. Instead, it goes to the driver of the vehicle, i.e. a council employee. But they are not covering the fines of the council employee. They are saying council employees have to pay their own fines. And so what happens? The council employees go along, then they stop, turn around and go, why didn't you go and do that? Said, I'm not in a compliant van. Yes, but you still have to do it. Yes, but if I go in a non-compliant van, I'm liable for the £60. You won't pay it. No, we won't. Well then. And so guess what's happening in Glasgow? It's just getting worse. These people are morons. But let's have a look to see how bad it is and how bad it's going to get when a lot of vehicles just won't enter. Here goes. Right, now think about this before we do this story. You're a council employee in a non-compliant council vehicle, and the council, your boss, the council, tell you to go in, and you say, I'll only go in if you cover the bill. And they're saying, no. So quite rightly, you're not going in. But here's the really weird thing. Even if they said, okay, yes, we'll cover the bill, it means the bill's still got to be processed. It's still paying someone to process this bill, send it out, get it back, get the council to pay it, raise a cheque, push it through, pay it to the council from one area of the council into another area of the council. It's bonkers. Do you know what? It would take me 20 minutes to write a small patch program that goes on there, and you have a list of all council registered vehicles, and you just exempt them all. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. But it's not hard for me because, brain. But for these people, it's ridiculous. Anyway, SNP-led Glasgow City Council face low emission zone mutiny as workers refuse to pay the penalty. Town hall chiefs in Glasgow face a war within their own employees over a farce which has seen workers be forced to come into the city centre in banned vehicles and to pick up a £60 fine for doing their job. And of course they're up in arms about it. And what's the council to do? The council are going to have to pay the fines. They've issued the fines. The council are going to have to pay the fines, or they will have a full stage strike on their hands over a policy which they could have sorted out day one like that. But hey, this lot can't, because this lot, led by old two seats, are too damn stupid. The SNP-led Glasgow City Council is facing a mutiny among its employees as scores of staff members are refusing to pay low emission zone fines. The environmental policy has descended into farce after the local authority penalised its own workers for breaking the rules for driving in while undertaking their job. Since being introduced last summer, the policy has been incredibly unpopular, with many city centre businesses blaming it for a fall in football. It bans all the most polluting and older vehicles from entering the zone. It does no such thing. It bans older vehicles. It does not ban polluting vehicles. It's done purely on age. £60 fines are set out for those who ignore it. But furious council staff have insisted they will not be paying these tickets after being forced into the low emission zone on work time and driving a work vehicle. Dozens of punishment letters have been issued to those driving the likes of older bin lorries, minibuses taking pupils to additional support learning placements, and vans transporting offenders to carry out community service. Now, if the older bin lorries just say, right, we're not going in, and, they did these things, we're not renting the buses, no, they're just not doing it. What are the council going to do? They can't fire the employees. They'd be taken straight to a tribunal like that. It would cost them so much money. So they can't fire these guys. On the other hand, the bins, the shit and the crap and all that lines up. The rat problem gets even worse. It's got so bad now they keep electing them. And, of course, the whole city centre then crashes and burns. Nobody wants to go in. And that's it. And this is all because of one very stupid policy that was designed not to improve air quality, because the air quality in Glasgow is fine. It was done purely to try and raise money to keep old two-seats in a pile of Greggs every day. Anyway, the Skint local authority has shelled out hundreds of thousands of pounds of taxpayer cash on hiring, not buying, replacement vehicles, but still use older ones on jobs outside the city centre. It has resulted in a war between the unions and the council over who should be paying out, with the latter insisting that the individual workers will be pursued for the money in their own time. In work time, in work vehicles, under orders to go in and do that job, and they're going to chase them. They ain't. Let me tell you, they ain't going to win this one. The unions will just go out, and it will be all of them. One union organiser told the Scottish Mail on Sunday drivers were doing their jobs and acting in good faith. These fines will not be paid. It was revealed that fines of more than £2,000 in total have been issued to council drivers, with the local authority claiming they have warned them that they would be liable for the fines if they enter the low emission zone. Chris Mitchell of the GMB union said, "I'm aware of the fines, including the case of a driver who was following instructions to empty a street litter bin at High Street just inside the LEZ in a non-compliant vehicle. He carried out his work as instructed and got a letter telling him he was being fined. It then doubled to £120. I took this up with the management and the driver will not be paying the fine. You now have drivers having to take detours, racking up many more miles, using much more fuel to do a journey. It makes no sense whatsoever. And it makes little sense with the low emission zone." Well, no, not if you're driving further, using more fuel, creating more pollution to go to do the job that you can just go through quickly and not pollute an already clean city. A low emission zone is due to be introduced this summer in Edinburgh, Aberdeen and Dundee, despite complaints that they're not needed, as the nitrogen dioxide levels are well within the legal limits. And indeed, in Edinburgh, it's one of the lowest in Europe. But the SNP green policy is still being put in place, not because they need to clean the air, but because they need the money, and they are actually anti-car and anti-growth. And if you can take people out of a city centre, you might destroy a few more businesses, which is really what they're after. Glasgow City Council has spent more than £700,000 hiring replacement motors, including box vans, pickups and tipper trucks, to do the jobs of older vehicles which are banned from the zone. Scottish Conservative Transport spokesman Graham Simpson said getting the council's own vehicles compliant with the new rule should have been Glasgow City Council's top priority, but instead they botched its introduction. They botch everything. It's the SNP. There's not a brain cell among them. A council spokesman said the council driver is responsible for a fine if a non-compliant vehicle is driven into the zone. Here's the thing then. So every driver drives up the zone, stops, then phones up the boss and says, right, I'm in a non-compliant vehicle, I've been told to do this job, I can't go in. I've spoken to my union rep, he says do not under any circumstances go in. I'm happy to turn around and come back to the depot and pick up a compliant vehicle, or if you want to get someone to drive out in a compliant vehicle, please do so. This vehicle will not be entering. And then watch as they panic, and they watch as they watch the crap build up in the streets, as the jobs don't get done, as people can't get through because they haven't got the vehicles. And then they'll probably realise that maybe it wasn't a good idea. Maybe they were complete and utter dimwits. Maybe they shouldn't have done it. But don't hold your breath. Coming up. This is one of those jobs where a work to rule by the union would screw the council. Everyone does their jobs. Everyone does their jobs. And like I say, but the moment you get that, no, you're not doing it. And the union say, no, you're not going in. You're not. I'm telling the union, the workers not to do it. They will sit there on work time waiting for you to give them the compliant vehicle. Therefore, they're still at work. They're still doing their job. It's up to the management to supply the correct vehicle. So you can't take the money off the worker, and it'll put the management in the position that they are the one causing the problem. The manager, of course, being the council. and the council take any action at all, and the union say, you do that and we are on strike, and it's every single council worker is out. Now, not every single, but the ones that are most inconvenience the council. For example, anyone within the council chambers, they don't empty the bins, they don't clean the council chamber, they don't fill up the coffee machines, nothing. Everyone goes in and does their normal day job, but that bit doesn't get done. The bits for the council, you clean up the rest of it, but where the councillors are, you leave them to it. And you tell them, no, work to rule. Done. And that way, you screwed them over. They can't do anything about it, and they will fold. They will fold so fast. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and let's keep them all true and honest. Fat chance. Bye.